Hello and welcome back to our podcast. In the previous episodes, we talked about the importance of our values. And today we want to dive deeper into the topic and get a little bit more practical by finding the one thing. We're going to talk about what it is and why it is important to find and focus on one thing. So stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dynamic Duo podcast. We're excited to be here, and I'm really excited about the topic today. So let's just dive in. Armando.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back. I'm really excited, and we are going to talk about a two-part structure. Can you explain to our audience what that is?
Well, it's good to see you again, by the way, first of all, and good to be back. We've been talking about over the last 3-4 weeks, I guess. How many episodes? No, this will be our 6th episode, so it's already 6 weeks. Amazing. Time flies by really quick. So we're talking about values, and we're working our way towards developing a strategy for our lives. / developing healthy habits that will help us achieve our goals in life. And up until now, we've been working with identifying our values and putting a lot of emphasis on describing those values. And if you are, for our viewers, if this is the first time, I will just go back in our timeline in our channel and take a look at those videos so you can take advantage of that as well. Otherwise, it will take a very long time to repeat that. But we've been doing that this far, right? And defining our values is very, very important because that will help us clarify the aspirations for the type of life we want to have. And so that's the main motivation. We really want to clarify what we want to achieve, right? And those principles, those values will help us do that. Yeah. But again, this goes beyond just philosophizing about it. We want to put things into practice. We want to go from theory to practice. Also, what we want to do is to go to the next level. And thinking about that, we have to really narrow it down. If we value something, we have to do something. It's not enough to say this is important in my life, but because this is important, this is what I'm doing about it, right? So thinking about this, I remember watching a picture. I found that online, and I don't know the source, so I cannot give credit to anyone, but I found a very nice image of the one thing, right? And of course, there is a lot of material. There's books about what really matters in life. And we've been talking about that as well, right? So what we are going to do today, Anya, and you will help me out, please, is we want to think first macro, and then we'll go micro, right? So we'll just talk today, or in this first part, we'll talk about the concept of the one thing, meaning the one thing I have to do in life. So that's more or less our starting point. What do you think?
That's interesting. But I think you need to clarify that a little bit more on how do you think, or how do you describe the one thing, or how do you find the one thing?
Right. Yeah, correct. And let us think, let us just philosophize a little bit more about this, and then we'll put it into practice. So we'll talk about a concept first of all, right? So when just conceptually, it's important to understand it, right? So when we understand what is important in life, this one thing, the one thing that we have to prioritize in life, this will highlight, will emphasize, will underscores, will stress, and will illustrate the power and the importance of that is significant, that is valuable, that is relevant, that is necessary for us to focus in life, right? We want to focus in something important. We want to get away from the trivial and from that is just keeping us busy, but not helping us move forward, right? So we want to focus on something that is crucial, that is key, that is vital, right? That is critical. And in many ways, really fundamental. So this one action will maximize our growth in any aspect of life. I mean, in the next episode, we'll talk about the practice, the put it into practice. So first of all, this one thing, getting our heads around that will help us understand, okay, I really need to focus on what is important, on what's matter. What do you think about that? Is that more or less clear, or did I confuse our viewers more?
Well, I'm going to ask some clarifying
All right,
questions,
go for
just
it.
sure. Is the one thing, is it a value? Is it something I do? Is it something, can you go a little bit deeper on how could this one thing look like? Or what is,
Well, the one thing will look different for everyone, and when we put it into practice, if let me jump a little bit forward, and so we understand that. I mean, we're talking about a concept right now, but later on we'll be talking about actions, because when we talk about values, we are really talking about nouns, things, right? For example, friendship. Okay, friendship is just friendship. What does that mean, right? The only thing that we can understand friendship is if we convert them into a verb, being friendly, or doing something nice for a friend, right? So that's when we go from a concept to an action, to a one thing, right? This one thing will help me get strong in that value. It will strengthen my friendship, right? So or and again, we've been talking about different values, the most important values in life, and we're going to focus on that. So the one thing, the concept, that's why I wanted to talk just about the concept of focus on what matters most. And maybe that helps. When we're talking about the one thing, we are talking about what matters most. And what matters most is it will help us in this case to strengthen, to grow in these areas of our lives.
so it's the one thing, so we could break it down into, we have this one value and there's the one thing for this value.
Exactly. I mean, at the end, there are many things that we can do, but
Yeah.
we don't really have that much time or energy to do a lot of things. And that's why we use this catchy phrase, the one thing. Okay, if there is one thing you can do, for example, let us just mention friendship, right? So if there is one thing you can do to strengthen your to strengthen your life in the area of friendship, what would that be? You see what I'm saying, or what I'm going with that, right? So the idea is, when we concentrate on the most important task, and the most important task, we'll talk about that later on, how we find those tasks or those actions, right? But when we concentrate on the most important task, it means that we have achieved a level of clarity, right? In maturity in life. We can see clear. And as a consequence, we don't feel overwhelmed by the many distractions of less critical things going on in our lives, tasks and meetings and whatnot that we have going on in our lives, right? So at, as a consequence, again, we stay our aligned, or we align our values with our actions.
Mhm.
It's a domino effect, because this will help us to improve our productivity, and to find balance in life, right? And it will help us to focus, uh, and really to simplify our lives. I think no one here, I mean, not me, I don't know you, Anya, but I don't want to make my life harder than it is. I want to I want to live simple. Maybe the wrong word, and maybe you can help me out here. What would be a better way? Not simple,
Simple, still significant.
significant, meaningful, yeah, but not complex. Because I mean, I think humans, we make life a little bit hard when it doesn't have to be that hard or that complex.
Yeah,
Yeah,
simple, but still significant.
exactly, simple but significant. So that's what we're talking about, when we are talking about this concept, the one thing. And it's easier say than done, because I think, whether we want it or not, life is a little bit out of control. We're busy. Humans are busy with
Yeah.
the things going, meetings, and people, and tasks, and job, and repairs, and bills to pay. I don't know. The list is long.
Yeah. And it's always also, it probably would be easier if you choose your one thing, and if you could focus only on that. But there is also the outside world that comes with what you said, like the bills and expectations from others and all of that.
Yeah,
And that comes in, and you still have to, you can't just do that one thing because there are so many other things going on.
exactly. And maybe I mean, maybe we should talk a little bit about the Pareto principle. You know what the Pareto principle is, right? Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers as well. Uh, but that's basically what we're talking about. The
Mhm.
80-20 rule, right? And
Explain it a little bit further for those who don't know it.
yeah, well, the Pareto principle is basically the rule, that the 80-20 rule, and it's just a simple idea that says roughly that 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. Maybe that sounds a little bit technical, but imagine you're a student, right? And in your final exam will cover 10 different subjects, right? And you have to study for those subjects. You know that the teacher told you, okay, you gotta be smart, you gotta learn, you gotta study these 10 subjects. Yeah. But somehow, you know, don't ask me why, or you don't ask me how, but you came to know that 80% of the exam questions will focus on this particular 20% of the topics, right? So what do? Well, you will invest 80% of your time and energy and resources, study time, in that 20%, because that 20% will potentially give you better note and better grades. So that's the idea, right? You identify the one thing. In this case, is this 20%. You focus 80% of your energy and resources on that, because that will give you the best results. And I have another example, right? Um, let's say you are a researcher and you are conducting different experiments. But then, a multitude of experiments towards finding out a cure. I don't know, rocket science, the mysteries of the universe. I don't know, but you are conducting different experiments, but you notice that 80% of your most important findings come from these 20% of the experiments you are conducting, right? So what you do, if you are smart, you will focus more time and resources on these specific types of experiments, because that will make more significant or will help you potentially to make more significant discoveries, and you will advance and will in your field you will make a quick progress. I don't know if those examples help somehow to understand the Pareto principle a little bit more.
I think it's clear.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so that's basically what we're talking about. The hard part is to discover that.
Yeah, to define where to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
To that on. But I think also we can take time to figure that out. I mean, you don't have to start out, you don't have to know right now what you have to focus on. You can
Right.
start with one thing you think could be the most important thing, and maybe you have to adjust a little bit over time.
That's right. Yeah, and that's why we've been going like really slow in our process. Our viewers, again, if you want to take a look, go back on our timeline, and you will notice that we are making a very I'm thinking German right now, a very purposeful strategy in the episodes that we are organizing. So if you have your 8 values, for example, we advise 8, 10, but focusing on what matter most and then defining them, you are off to a good start. Yeah, yeah. And that often that is the problem. People do not know what they value. They do not know why they value what they value. Uh, but then when you start defining that, then you begin to see clear.
Mhm.
You know.
And all of this takes time. So that's why we also take our time with these topics. So you really understand and have time to process it, because this is not something you can rush through. We often, especially nowadays, we have fast food, fast fashion, we have
Mm,
everything fast. But this is something, it doesn't work if you rush through it and you
mm,
just fast values.
mm.
It doesn't work.
I love your testimony. You talked about that. I don't know if it was no 2 weeks ago in that episode 2 weeks ago, where you talked about your process, how you found your values and how you describe them, and and of course the benefits of that. Now that is behind you.
Well, it's not even behind me. It's still in progress. For me, sometimes I still do adjustments. I still find things that I think, oh, I need to adjust a little bit, or to dive deeper into this value because I haven't really gotten squeezed everything out of it. So I think it's an ongoing process over so much time, maybe over all of our lives.
I think so. I think so, and yeah, I think it's fair to say that. But that's what we want to cover in the next episode. I mean, we want to really go from these concepts, from this philosophizing, uh, to the okay, well, how? And
Yes.
and you are there already, because you define, you are still exploring and learning and growing, and but you are doing something. And
Yes.
that's the thing. That's where we want to go. Like, okay, I want to go from just dreaming and thinking about it to
Doing.
doing, to doing the one thing. What is, if I may ask, Anya, what is one thing of the many things you are doing, or the many important things you are doing? Because I know you already filter a lot of those.
Mhm.
But if you, and then I share one of mine, of something that I've been implementing this week. What one thing have you been putting a lot of emphasis over the last few days?
I think it would be I don't know how to say this, but getting to know myself
Okay.
deeper level, so I can be more authentic
Mm-hmm.
for me
Mm-hmm.
and focus more on being real to who I am.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that? How do you do that? If I may ask, I mean, what, maybe it's something very personal, but if I may ask, um, reflection time, do you have a particular strategy to do that, or?
Reflecting, talking to other people, how they perceive me,
Oh.
also learning more,
Mm-hmm.
um, or figuring out more of my passions and
Mm-hmm.
putting more time into those things that I love,
Mm-hmm.
that I forget time. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for me, I've been putting a lot of time into things I felt like I had to do
Mm-hmm.
and didn't do the things that I felt like I was good at and I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So switching to more of my passions. That's the 80/20.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
want to focus on my passions. There are still things you have to do that
Yeah.
are not
Right.
passionate.
Right.
That's always the case. But I want to really focus on the things that I also feel like I'm good at and
Mm-hmm.
that are like my strength zones, and not trying to get better at my weaknesses just because I feel like I have to
Right.
be good at those things.
Oh my goodness, you're talking about so many important topics. Really, really, uh, yeah, it's very powerful. I mean, one thing that you just said, it like really sunk on me right now, because one of these benefits, really, of the 80/20 rule is that when you focus on what is more important, for example, the tendency, I guess, from people, from us, is to focus on our weaknesses to get stronger, right? But actually, the data, the all experts are, more or less, are of one accord that actually it should be the other way around. Focus on your strengths, because that will automatically help you get better on your weaknesses. And if we focus on on our weaknesses, we will, how do you call that? Put aside our strengths, and we will not
Yeah.
focus on that, which, as a consequence, is a bad thing. Because this is what gives you the most productivity and satisfaction in life. So
Yeah.
that's very interesting that you mentioned that.
And also, I think it also gives you more life.
Mhm.
Um, there was this speech, or I'm not sure he wrote a book. Marcus Buckingham, I think was his name, and he
Mhm.
talked about love and passion. No,
Right.
love and work, sorry.
Mhm.
And he says that oftentimes in work, we don't talk about love. Love is
Mhm.
everywhere. It's in our relationships, it's everywhere, but not in work. It's weird if it's in work.
Mhm.
If you do something you hate for like 20, 30, 40 years, this is going to affect everything you do all of your life. You're going to be miserable also in your relationships because you're not happy with what you do. So he said, and that was interesting. I have to check it, but I think he said also, like the 20/80 rule,
Mhm.
20% of your day that you should, or that if you do something you love for 20% of your day, then you're overall happy with what you do.
Yeah, I mean, we really focus often in we're busy, and as a matter of fact, maybe next episode I'll bring it out. I have a chart here that I want to show you. This quadrant, the urgent, the not important, the necessary, and things like that. And sometimes our life is all over the place, and that brings a lot of frustration. That makes us sick, really unhappy, and it's like how do you call them? Like oh, I'm forgetting the name of in English. This slippery slope type of because if we are frustrated, then our relationships will suffer, our productivity will suffer, our health will suffer, and so on and so forth. So it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, like a downhill spiral. And so well, that's what we want to inspire our viewers to do, to find that brings happiness to you. I mean, I know sometimes it's hard. I know sometimes people they really have to focus on paying the bills and doing the repairs and the chores and the kids and so on. We get it. But let us start slow, very slow, but conscious, and it's like step by step. It might take a while, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So that's what we're trying to inspire. Well, Anya, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Not saying that everything has to be all fun and games.
No.
That's not life. We're saying find small things in your daily life that bring you joy.
Mm-hmm.
And create that. Figure out ways to create more of those joyful times.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And it's funny because we will get deep into that, how small steps and small actions will really compound and eventually will explode, and it's an exponential growth. So yeah, that's true, Anya. Well, what do you think? Maybe we should make a cut here and then encourage you to come next week. What should the people focus on until the next episode, Anya? What do you think?
I think try to figure out that one thing. Focus on that. Think about it. Maybe write down a few things that you think could be your one thing. Maybe you already know your one thing. That's amazing. But yeah, focus on that one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. And if you want to, you can share your comments and send us your questions. If something maybe wasn't clear or you want to know more about, ask away. Send us your comments. We are happy. Anya, we are beginning to get comments in our videos, so I'm happy about that. So thank you very much for those 2 persons that send a comment. No, 3 persons. So that's nice. Thank you very much. We hope to hear from you more. All right, Anya, you wanna I'm thinking German again. Why?
Yes. Thank you everyone for listening, for joining us on this journey.
You were thinking in German too. Sorry. No. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So thank you all very much. We're excited about next time and see you in a week.
Talk to you soon. Bye.